Look, buddy, I'm gonna need you to drop the music disc. Hello there, and welcome back to AlphaCraft. This will be a little bit of a different episode, and probably a shorter one as well, because we're fast approaching the end of Season 5, and while I am trying to get things sorted around my base before that happens, I don't want to not mention a scavenger hunt we had on the server recently. Well, I say we, but this scavenger hunt was made for a very specific AlphaCrafter, Miss Stina Rose. You see, I was watching a couple of her streams and saw that she was trying to breed her way to a blue axolotl. Now, as longtime viewers will know, I have been down that road a couple of times in the past, and I know just how much of a pain in the butt it can be to actually get one. I think the official stats are 1 in 1,200. Now, it's never taken me 1,200 before, but I think one season it took me 700 or so before it finally happened. So, I knew that she had her work cut out for her, and I thought I would secretly try and help her out. Now, if you've never done this before, realize that the grindiest part of the grind to get a little blue bucket buddy is catching all the tropical fish. If it were to actually take 1,200 breedings to get one, that would mean catching 2,400 tropical fish. Caught in buckets. That is a lot of tropical fish. And they're non-stackable, and even with shulkers, you're looking at a good 50-plus shulkers worth of tropical fish before you even have a hope of getting one. But here's where the good news comes in. Stina had found what is possibly the best location for catching tropical fish. One sec. I'll be honest here, if I had to catch all these in the ocean, yeah, I'm not sure I would have done this. But seeing where her secret fishing spot was, I went to work. And this is the fishing hole. This little lake or pond or whatever you call this tiny body of water, this is technically a lush cave. It's easy to forget that tropical fish spawn in lush caves, but that's because normally lush caves just have the onesie-twosie bodies of water. This is definitely the exception, and as you can see, there's plenty of fish to be caught. Just come here with a bunch of buckets, collect your fish, and if you run out, climb up to the top of the hill. Just like magic, new fish will spawn right in. This is a massive time saver. So, the plan is to collect fish here and then breed the axolotls just upstairs from the fishing hole. That way, we can minimize the amount of time spent doing this grind. And trust me, even with this, it's still going to be a grind. Let's fill this little pool up with some axolotls and get to breeding. And with the magic of editing, we now have lots and lots of axolotls to feed. The reason this room is shaped like this is I give them a pool of water to swim in that's big enough to hold 50 or so at a time, and then the large platform beside the pool is so I can lure them all out of the water and breed them while they're moving around all so slow. It makes it a lot easier to find the ones who haven't eaten yet. Basically, you keep doing this over and over for days and weeks until it finally happens. Essentially, I feed them all. Then I run downstairs to refill the buckets and come back up here to AFK while they grow up so I can repeat the process. Feed, fish, watch. Feed, fish, watch. Until eventually that magical day finally comes when you have to rub your eyes a few times to make sure you're not hallucinating. But no, there it is, the little blue baby we've been waiting for. And there's the Blazing Caves achievement for it. Now, how many did it take, you may wonder? Well, there's no good way to answer that, as none of the stats tracks buckets of tropical fish being used or created, and I already bred a decent amount of animals this season, so going off how many axolotls were, quote-unquote, taken upstate to live on a farm with lots of little pools of water to swim in, then then my guess would be 679. Yep, not the worst case I've ever had, but definitely not 1200 either. So, now that we finally have our own little baby blue bucket buddy, the question becomes, how do we get it to Stina? I mean, we could just pop it in her mailbox like a cold, wet potato, but that wouldn't be much fun, and I know this may sound a little odd to some, but maybe she wouldn't just want it handed to her. I mean, sometimes the value in getting something comes from the effort it takes to achieve it. So I thought about it a while and came up with some sort of scavenger hunt. Something that would help make it feel like it was earned and not just handed over. And you know, if we can sprinkle in a little bit of fun while we're doing it, then all the better. So I got to work on clues for the scavenger hunt, and I have to admit, I had a little bit of fun coming up with these. The obvious starting point for the hunt would be her base on the Amethyst Isles, and what better place than right here on the portal? There we go. Oh, well, you know, I guess I might as well actually tell you what the clue is, right? I got a little ahead of myself there. So here we go. To the reader of this book, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to follow the trail of breadcrumbs started in these pages. I think you'll find the prize at the end to be worth it. Clue number 1. In a place of Viking grace, atop a tower where rains do shower, there is a clue left just for you, to find a friend whose skin does tend to be the hue of the baby blue. Now, this might lead her to one of two places, as the Viking bros have built 2 towers, one at their base and one in Alpha by Water. But I think there's enough crucial details there to send her off to the top of the Viking bros' Tower of Power at their base. So off we go to place clue number 2. And here we are, and look, there's even a chicken left over from the chicken prank standing guard on top of the lightning rod. What a brave little chicken. Okay, let's place the item frame here and read off the second clue. Clue number 2. The third clue does await you at a heart-shaped portal built by the mortal who penned the animals in before moving on again. Now, this one may not be as obvious. I guess it really depends on your AlphaCraft knowledge. But Jareen built a sort of zoo at her first base before abandoning it and moving off to a second base. And her portal, most importantly, is shaped like a heart. Cut to Jareen's base. Okay, we're over at Jareen's old base, and there's the heart-shaped portal. Now, I suppose we could probably stick the clue over there somewhere, but that feels a little too easy. Let's see if we can find another place for the clue to at least make Stina explore a little bit. Okay, I've had a look around and decided this is probably the best place. Now for the clue. Clue number 3. Of clues, this is third, but more there are to be heard. For on this journey you have begun, there is a prize to be won. A whole loddle axolotls were fed their fill of fishies from a well betwixties, a garden so pale and the snowy mountains gale. There is a cave of mossy turf, which hides a clue of great worth. This, of course, should lead Stina to her favorite fishing hole. This is probably the one clue that only Stina would get. Back to the breeding pen! In a desert beside an ocean oh so deep lives a man who sells camels cheap. Of quartz and lights and terracotta, of all these things he sells a lotta. But today the object that you seek can only be found atop the peak of white and red and yellow too. There is a book left just for you. There's only one AlphaCrafter that all those clues fit, and that's a Mr. Vegas Vic. He sells frog lights and quartz and terracotta, and even has a free camel shop. And once, long, long ago, I pranked him with a giant bucket of popcorn on top of a nearby mountain at his base. So it's off to Vix we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho. And there it is in all of its popcorny beauty. Let's see if we can find a good spot for the item frame and check out the next clue. Clue number 5. Bunnies and rabbits, rabbits and bunnies. One lives in the dark, the other makes all the monies. So travel you now to the home of the sheepies, who work day and night without any sleepies. This clue refers to Rabbit, Rabbit, and Bunny Bond, but Bunny is the one with all the money, so that's where the next clue will be. So we're off to meet the sheepies, the most wonderful sheepies of all. Clue number 6. There is a man who builds castles in the sky, out of purple, and no one knows why. Yet somewhere on this island up above is another clue to a friend you will love. Now this clue refers to the man known only as Gobspit. He's known for his floating castles and, just to hammer home the point, in case Stina might think of someone else, I threw in the purple reference as he is the only one who used that block in his base builds. Cue the purple!
Oh, my face!
Clue number 7. Somewhere in a land where games are played, a tower of great height has been arrayed. At the top can be found a great big hole and a leap of faith that is good for the soul. At the bottom can be found a bounce or two, and maybe even another clue. Now, if Stina doesn't get this one, then she's been a drinkin'. Off to the gaming district! Clue number 8. Off to the east is someone of great heart, who maybe got a bit of a late start. Off in a wood of crimson and teal is a restaurant of great appeal. On one of the tables in front of Maurice lies the next clue in this quest of release. This clue refers to spider hearts who, like me, got a late start on the season. The crimson and teal refer to the magic mushrooms growing up around her base. So without further ado, let's go say hi to Maurice. Clue number 9. Once upon a time, many moons before, alphas did gather for a chamber to explore. In rooms of tough and way too much copper, there once was a shop hosted by a joker. You'll have to forgive the rhyme there, I just needed the clue. Within that tiny room where potions were sold lies a book and a clue that it does hold. This clue refers to a server event where several of us all raided a trial chamber together. I spent weeks prepping the chamber and putting in special paths from the end of the chamber back to the beginning so players could exit without retriggering the chamber. And Mr. Joker even built a small shop in the entranceway selling the ominous potions we would need. This happened so long ago, there's even ads at the entrance portal for the new copper shop on the server AlphaStar and I opened. Sadly, none of that made it into a video because, you know, life. But it's a thing that happened. Really, it happened. The reason the clues refer to the past tense about the shop is because after Mr. Jokes built his potion shop in the shopping district, he removed it from the trial chamber. Clue number 10. At this point you may be wondering, when will this all end? And that's a fair question, but not yet, my friend. For one more clue must be found, and this one will lead you deep underground. For 4 have gathered and pizzas they can sell, but that is not their business, these heroes in a half shell. In the pizza parlor is a great long fall, where you can find the last clue of all. Somewhere in their base, along the mining track, there is a room of ores that have been stacked. I can say no more, of this you're surely glad, for I've been a bit long-winded, and more than just a tad. This, of course, refers to Spiderweb Ninja's pizza joint in the shopping/gaming districts. You can go in through the restaurant and jump down to find their secret base underneath everything. And right next door to their base is a room full of ores. The final clue. I'll try and be quick, I'll try and be fast, for this here clue will be your last. To find the blue babe you have long sought, go to the place of carpets and whatnot. Where there are platforms 1, 2, and 3, there is a blue friend, a bucket buddy. This one may not be as obvious, but it refers to the map-making platforms that were built for the Easter coloring competition. The clues to pick up on are the carpets and the 3 platforms. So off we go to the final spot. And on one of the platforms, I built a little present box, in amethyst-style colors, of course. Inside, waiting patiently, was the bucket with a blue axolotl in it. But on the outside was one final message. I hope you've enjoyed this little quest, and will also enjoy your new guest. I hope it didn't drag and was a bit of fun, but either way, now you are done. So au revoir and good day. It's time for me to go. 'Cause I am just too tired to come up with something else that rhymes. See ya. Now, I probably should have said from the start, Stina has already run this scavenger hunt on stream, so none of this will be a spoiler for her. She even put out a video with some of the highlights and left the details of the hunt for me to show. Thankfully, I was able to help her through one of the hiccups where the references were something she wasn't aware of, but other than that, I think it went off pretty well. You can watch her video and see what she did with her new bucket buddy. But in the end, I was glad to see she enjoyed the hunt, and also, it's nice to be able to surprise people with stuff from time to time. I mean, pranks are surprises too, but sometimes it's nice to do non-prank surprises for people as well. For those of you still watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been a while since I did a video where it's essentially 100% me telling a story, but I hope I was able to keep it interesting. But until next time, I have been Gragore, and this has been AlphaCraft. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, always try and find a way to have some fun. See ya!